We have a couple rows of ribbing here that I've just worked just so you can see what's going on. We have 36 stitches all crammed in this tiny little needle. What we're first going to do is we're going to knit across these, dividing it evenly among 3 or 4 double pointing needles. 36 goes into either one just fine. And whether you go divided among 3 or 4 needles is really just a matter of personal preference and how many stitches you have. Take your second double pointed needle and just letting this first double pointed needle just hang there. Knit across the next 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really important, especially if you're working with thin yarn or haven't worked with double pointed needles before. You might want to get some needles that have a little bit of grip to them, like these Knitter's Pride Dreamz double pointed needles. They're wood, so they hold on to the yarn a little bit better than metal needles might. And if you don't feel comfortable with these needles just hanging off your work while you're knitting, you can just slip them on to divide them around the needles. You don't have to knit across them. It'll go a little faster if you do that. So here we have our knitting divided evenly onto 3 needles, and see how they can kind of form a little triangle. It's very important too when you're working in the round to make sure that none of your needles are twisted. That'll make a twist in your work that you won't be able to get out. Alright, so we're ready to join this in the round. So now you have your yarn coming off of your last stitch there, and here you have the first stitch of the row. Put a needle into the first stitch of that row, and you knit it. Voila, you're joined in the round. And now you knit all the stitches off needle 1, and now you're coming up to needle 2. Your needle 1 is now empty, so you use that as the needle you're going to be working on too. And knit all the stitches off needle 2. Now your needle 2 is empty, so you're going to use that to work all the stitches off needle 3. And you just keep going around in a spiral like this. Now, one disadvantage to working with double pointed needles is that you can't really put a marker here on your needle to mark the beginning of the round. Right here it's pretty clear that this is the beginning of the round because this is such a huge divide, and you see the tail right there too. But if you have problems seeing where that beginning of the round is, just for your pattern purposes, you can take a locking stitch marker and just stick it between these 2 stitches.